Yes, good
All
evening.
right, thank you.
You're good to go, Gary.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen informational session for February 2nd, 2021. I show the time now 6:31 for the start. We are recording. Before we get into the regular agenda, I want to address two other quick issues. The first of all is, as talked about last week, there are several outstanding open meeting law allegations. And the letter for that replying to the state is in final draft form and should be out tomorrow. The second one, and more interested to the public, is that the day-to-day operations of the town of Wenham are proceeding normally. Some adjustments, as you've seen on the website, for COVID. But I want to thank the town employees and Tom, our town administrator, for keeping things going in these difficult situation. To ensure that we continue on that good path to an annual town meeting, I've consulted with the town council and with the town administrator to look at what actions a solitary selectman might need clarification on that aren't specifically covered by law, or those actions that I would take over the next couple of months that ought to be validated or ratified, and also those items that might actually need additional authority. So Ms. Goldberg for our town council has drafted up an act that we would propose to take to the governor to submit to the legislature to address these issues. The draft I plan to take around to the some of the committees in town to get their support and comments, and we'll get that posted up on the website to get some public input as well. But basically, the draft wants to make sure that after all this period is done, that when we get to back to 2 and 3 selectmen on the board, all the previous actions taken will be validated. So our first choice is to do this legislation. Got to give fair warning that it's not going to be the fastest or the smoothest path to go, but I think it'll give the overhead validation to the town that all our processes over the next 2 or 3 months were proper and valid. Backups to that plan is a plan to, once we get a quorum reestablished on the Board of Selectmen, to take all the previous actions to the Board of Selectmen for a vote to confirm them. And also we'll be looking to make an article on the warrant for annual town meeting for the town as a whole to validate the items that we've conducted, especially things such as the special election that we'll talk about later tonight. And fourth, we looked at, but there should be a route for judicial relief on this situation, but that appears to be a fairly expensive and detailed route. So time being, we're putting that to the side. Let me assure you that all the provisions on this are aimed at just the period of time where there's just the one solitary selectman in position, and all aimed to make sure that the special election, the town election, and the town meeting come off as proper and are fully validated that they were done so. Lauren, our town council, is online. Do you have any other comments you'd like to add to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I think you explained it very well. The plan in the proposed special legislation that we'd file proactively with the governor really does lay out, all of the things that you've been saying with respect to only making the decisions that you have to make and only, doing things that have to be done. So, I think it outlines those goals very well. And even if, as you said, it takes a while to get to that point, we can at least have it out there what the plan is, and that way there's something to hold you to, Mr. Chair.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. And we should also send a big thank you to Senator Bruce Tarr and Representative Brad Hill, who are fully supporting us in this method, and we've met with them already on this. All right, so questions on that can always be emailed in, and we'll be going around to the committees and out to the public. All right, on to the regular agenda then. Do we have anyone interested in public input? We've got the guidelines, rules posted up there, a couple minutes for each person if they wish to speak. And Jackie and Nikki, do we have anybody with their hands up in the chat room this evening?
Not yet, Mr. Chairman, if we just want to give folks one, like, few seconds to just
Right.
type their name.
Yep.
But as of right now, not seeing any immediately pop up. We don't have any at this time.
All right. Well, very well. Then let's move right on to Tom. I think you've got the announcements here.
I have announcements and a number of items on reports.
Yes.
And first of all, thank all the participants. I see the numbers down at the bottom of my screen. Thank you for participating in our virtual meeting this evening. And I hope we have enough information for you that will provide you with things that we are doing in the community in the past week. So let's get started. First announcement, and we brought this up again last week, but we'll be continuing this until basically the March 15th lottery. But our affordable unit that we'll be putting up during the lottery on 83 Dodges Road this Thursday, which on February 4th at 6 o'clock via Zoom, we are having a public information session. If you're interested in putting in for this renovated 2-bedroom single-family affordable unit, it'll be available by lottery for an eligible first-time home buyer through the MCO Housing Services for a maximum sales price of $272,100. Lottery application packets are still available in the town clerk's office and on our website. Due date is March 1st, and the lottery is being held via Zoom on March 15th. I will be probably attending the public information session via Zoom to be brought up to speed on that also. But you really need to, if you're interested, attend that session to get all the information and to understand your eligibility. Next, and this is an actually very interesting informational session if anyone's interested. Attorney General Healy is conducting what's called a Savvy Senior Consumer Day. And that would be a virtual presentation to learn about how seniors can protect themselves from identity theft and scams online. I don't think it's just for seniors. I mean, if you're maybe a little younger than a senior, you can join in and learn about that and learn how you can protect yourself. It will be on February 23rd from 10:30 in the morning till noon. And you can go through the registration link on our website, wenhamma.gov/residents. Next, and this is, I'll tell you, I am very proud of this. When I came to Wenham and I looked and started reviewing their town reports, the team in Town Hall does a wonderful, wonderful job in putting together a town report that is competitive to any community in this Commonwealth. So for this year's, again, they're looking for photos of town buildings, open space, recreational areas, scenic Wenham views, and anything that tells a story from 2020. I think something, besides just the pandemic, but anything that you can put together that is our story, please contact my assistant, Nikki, at her email address, and we would love to see if we could include it in the report or on the website. From what I've seen over the past few years, the photos are fantastic. Please keep them coming. They're great. Next, we're going to go through some reports that I want to show, informational and updates. The governor last week filed his budget, which is the beginning of the governmental budgeting process for the town. The key, which most 351 cities and towns look for in the governor's budget, is a step of what local aid and what are the assessments he is proposing in the budget. Generally, what happens is the governor proposes that for each town. Fast forward to basically April, when the House of Representatives votes on their budget, and they generally sometimes agree with the governor, sometimes increases, sometimes reduces, not as much. And then that budget goes to the Senate, and they generally approve their budget in May with their local aid and assessment numbers. If the numbers are the same, they don't have to go to a conference committee to vote on them. If the numbers are different, they'll go to a conference committee of the House and Senate and approve them. And eventually the governor will sign the budget, and the number and the not the Commonwealth, the community will receive funding and their charges. So I just want to go over here, and I want to thank my team assistant, Nikki, for helping me put the PowerPoint together on this. But we're looking at 5 years and what the governor had budgeted this year overall for local aid and assessments to our community. We're not a very large local aid and assessment community, which is good and bad. It's good when when budgets are being cut, local aid's being cut, then we're not relying too much on it. The bad news is we don't get as much as other communities. So when there's increases, our increases are minimal. I'll just go through some of the main numbers, but for our local aid revenue that we have receiving from FY17 to what the governor proposed in FY22, we went from approximately 411,000 to 470,000. The number this year is about a $16,000 increase in what we had projected last year. Our finance team does an excellent job of proposing conservative numbers because you don't know what the number is actually going to be in the final budget. So the governor's number is just the first step. And by the time we get to town meeting in May, we generally only have the House number. You very rarely have the Senate number. So we'll have to wait through April to see where we may be with the House number, but we are probably, we are budgeting a lower number in FY22 to just see where we are for the final number, because we don't know yet if we're being cut, if revenues are coming in lower than expected to the state. As you go across the others, are minor numbers. The one number that we generally, all cities and towns do not get what they really deserve is state-owned land, because we are not taxed. We do not get tax revenue for land that is owned by the state in our communities. So they try to reimburse us, but $3,200 in FY22 is generally not what we will be. Whoops, I'm getting something up here on my screen. Some new feature, I'm sorry. $3,200 generally is not what is the fair market value of the taxes that we're getting for state-owned land, but that's generally all communities get a very, very minute amount. Regarding the assessments and charges, we're not a big town for that. The largest number is the MBTA, and that's their annual assessment to us because we're an MBTA community. And that generally increases over the years by a set amount as part of their formula. This year, we only went up about $1,000. Over the past 5 years, it has gone up approximately $10,000. So net amount, saying is how much we've actually received for local aid versus assessments over the past 5 years has generally gone up from FY17, a net figure of 207,000 to 337,000. The main reason is because we're not being assessed for the Essex Regional Community Center for the last 3 years. That was approximately between $82,000 and $84,000, which we're not being assessed now. So that makes up the difference why our net amount has increased by approximately $130,000. The next slide will show the regional school district. Whoops, that's got to be the one after that, I think. There we go. Thank you. Is what basically we're looking at as far as a school aid because we're a regional district. From last year's Chapter 70 to this year's, the governor only increased us by approximately $50,000 in the formula. Our regional transportation number from last year, our reimbursement dropped about $6,000. So our total number of an increase was only about $43,000. That's not very much when we're looking at increases in the school budget. We do thank the school department for coming in at this point for their budget they're looking at a smaller increase than last year, but a $40,000 increase in 4.7, basically 4.7 million local aid is not much. Our school choice charge remained the same from last year of about $125,000. So our net total of revenue versus charges for school aid is about $4.6 million. And over the past 5 years, that means an increase of about $300,000 for us. But at this year, approximately $40,000. So we'll keep watching the local aid numbers as they come in during April for the House. We would be hopefully optimistic the House numbers will be higher, but we will be conservatively budgeting these numbers as we continue the FY22 budget process. Next, we have, just want to show you something that that I am intending on putting on here that I've done in previous communities. I've always felt at town meetings, town meeting members really are interested in capital improvement programs, equipment, road work, various items that they actually can see and actually say get their arms around, because they're projects that they will be seeing over the time being completed. This is a chart that we'll be including on our website once we get the information back from our department heads and updating it monthly and bringing it to selectmen's meetings on a monthly basis. What you see here is what was approved in the capital budget plus water capital at your October town meeting. And what this will show is the department, the project, how much was budgeted, how much has been expended, the estimated completion date, and the status. Some of these projects are either completed or close to being completed, and we'll be filling in those information once we receive it from the department heads. But we will be putting that on the website, and we'll be doing updates monthly with the select board at our public meetings. Next, I think we have my meeting agenda. Let me just bring that, oops, there we go. Actually, it's a little more busier than what it shows there, but for my Zoom public meetings going forward on tomorrow, actually on tomorrow, I now have 4 meetings on February 3rd from 4:30 onward. Board of Assessors meeting, I'm looking forward to meeting with them. I haven't met with them since I've come here. After that, we have a Finance Capital Subcommittee meeting. Rolling into that afterwards is the Finance Committee meeting. And if I still have time afterwards, I believe they're meeting at 7 o'clock. The Open Space and Recreation Committee, I haven't met with them yet. I might have a few minutes to be able to drop in to see them if Finance Committee finishes before they're done, and we'll see that. Thursday, even though I won't be probably participating, I'll be an interested spectator. The Dodgers Road home lottery information meeting is being held on February 4th. And lastly, on Tuesday, I probably won't be a participant, but the Town Administrative Search Committee is having their first meeting with their search consultant from Community Paradigm. Monday, February 8th is the deadline for applications to come in for the town administrator's position. And they'll be beginning the process of reviewing applications, the committee. And eventually, when we have a full board of selectmen, full select board, we'll be forwarding finalists to them to make the decision. I've told the board previously when we had a full board and currently with Chairman Cheeseman, is I will stay on here as long as the board needs me or wants me during the process. So I'll be interested. Oh, I just got a note, the Conservation Commission's meeting Monday too. So I'll try to add them to the agenda. Thank you, Margaret, to see if I can pop into that meeting too. Couple of other items for the informational session, which we have here, is announcement from our town clerk, Diane, about, because we have the holiday schedule coming up based on President's Day, is that if you're a committee and you have meetings on the 16th, 17th, or 18th, because we have Monday off, you need to get postings to the town clerk's office earlier. So if you have a meeting on Tuesday the 16th, you need to get it to their office by Wednesday the 10th by 4:30. If you have a meeting on Wednesday the 17th, you need to get it to their office by the 11th, Thursday at 4:30. And finally, Thursday the 18th, if you have a meeting then, get it to her office by Friday the 12th by noontime. Couple of other quick items. I want to thank Jim Reynolds for this, our Director of our Council on Aging. He received a $3,000 one-time contribution from Senior Care, and thank you, Senior Care, and their Chief Executive Officer, Scott Trenti, to submit their supplemental federal funding for the coronavirus pandemic. And I want to thank Scott and thank the people of Senior Care. And I know Jim is very thankful for receiving that $3,000 one-time contribution. Next, Human Rights Committee has been meeting. I met with them last night, Monday night, and I really recommend anybody who wants to see what they're doing, please log on to our meetings on the first Monday of every month. And they are going to be putting out some more information regarding what their plans are going forward. So I do want to thank the previous board for putting that committee together. And it's been something that is going to be a wonderful addition to our team in Wenham. I believe that may be it on our announcements for now, and I will be trying to keep everyone more up to speed and bringing more slides and such as we continue on for our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All right, so on to the chairman's reports. 4 items tonight. The first is the election schedule. As we make our way to annual town meeting, the first item is the special town election that will provide us with a second selectman, reestablish a quorum, and also a replacement for our great town clerk, Diane Bucco. So special town election will be on Thursday, April 8th at 2021. An intention to run paper will be required and is available at the wenhamma.gov/elections. Email your intentions to run to the town clerk's office at townclerk@wenhammass.gov. Important dates here. Nomination papers are available now only with the town clerk by appointment, and they are due back on February 18th, the Thursday. You need to have 21 signatures on that nomination papers. And if you change your mind, the last day to withdraw will be Monday, March 8th. So this is a selectman 1 position. There'll be a just over a 1-year term running to 2022. And the town clerk position will finish off Ms. Bucco's term of just over 2 years. So let's get out and good turnout for the special election on April 8th we're looking for. Next is the annual town election, which we held as by the bylaw the Thursday after town meeting. So it'll be on Thursday, May 6th. Again, you'll need an intention to run paperwork, and that's available at the wenhamma.gov/elections. Email your intentions to run to the town clerk's office, and they'll set up an appointment to get the nomination papers for you. And those are due back for the annual election on Thursday, March 18th. 21 signatures required for all positions, except for the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District, which needs 40 signatures. And by exception, you need to pick up that paperwork at the district office. Last day to withdraw, if you want, is Monday, April 5th. On the ballot will be one position for Board of Assessors, one position on the Board of Health, one position on the Board of Selectmen. That's a full 3-year term. Hamilton Wenham Library Trustees, 2 positions at large, 3-year terms. The Regional School Committee, there's 2 positions there. Moderator is 1 position for 3 years. There's one position on the Planning Board coming up. That's a 5-year term. The Water Commission has 1 position for 3 years. And the Wenham Housing Authority has 2 positions. That's a 5-year term, and the other one is a 3-year term. So contact the town clerk's office to get your paperwork started, and let's move forward to a great election. Yes, Tom.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we should remind the residents that the special election is being held at the town hall.
Yes, yeah. So town hall, the school continues to be busy, so we'll have the special election at town hall for the place. All right. Next slide will be annual town meeting 2021. We're going to start a process tonight to give a preliminary overview of the articles that will be included. As with the town meeting in 2020, the list for annual town meeting 2021 focuses mostly on the financial and legal priorities. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School District will be on parallel route here with us as we go through the budget. And you may want to tune into their tentative budget approval meeting. I believe that's on February 17th. The Finance and Advisory Committee is meeting weekly for most of February on the FY22 operating and capital budgets. And as we just talked about, the important meeting tomorrow night for the capital subcommittee and for the full FinCom. Information on the budget is on the website under /budget. The schedule going to the annual town meeting is the warrant hearing will be on Monday, April 26th. The town meeting will be on Saturday, May 1st, and the annual town election will be on Thursday, May 6th. So we're still contending with the pandemic. We're still considering what the weather is going to be and all the other conditions. So our decision on place and time and conditions for the town meeting will be made probably in the April timeframe. All right, so going through the expected warrant articles here, we'll go through the first ones, which are pretty standard year to year. The first one will be funding the operating budget within the levy limit. And that's in progress right now. Finance and Advisory Committee is working up the numbers, and we'll get more from them probably in a week or two. Next one is the use of free cash. This is also being worked Finance Advisory Committee. So far, it sounds like pretty good news, and certainly their aim is to limit or not use any of the free cash as we've used in the past years. Further to come. The capital budget, as we've seen the last year's capital budget items, Tom is tracking. We'll give that out to the public, and each of the department heads have been working up their capital budgets for this year. Hopefully that will not be too large a drain on the free cash. All right, as always, a couple of these are a bit confusing as there's a convoluted movement of the money around. But each year we'll have the cemetery and other trust funds article. This is an annual acceptance article saying that the town accepts the money from the various trust funds set up for the cemetery and other places. Next one. All right, then a little bit more complicated is the cemetery maintenance fund transfer. So on the cemetery, when we sell lots there, part of that money goes into a fund which yearly at town meeting is withdrawn, and not directly, but goes to some part in the general fund of covering the work done by the DPW to keep the cemeteries in place. This year, in FY21, it was $6,000, and we'll be checking and see what it will be this year. All right, consent agenda. Tom talked about the aid from the state. Part of that is Chapter 90 funds, which help maintain our roads. This has been pretty much level funded for many years here, and Bill Tyak really stretches out the money to keep our roads in the best condition as possible. But that is something that I know Tom has on the agenda to look at a long-range plan for both our roads, and the Water Commission is looking at long-term for the water system updates. All right. And talking about Water Commission, we'll, as previously, we'll have some money set aside from the income from the Water Commission to a water capital reserve. And just quick explanation on this is basically we're saving a little bit of money up because we know with a 40-plus-year-old system that there could be major breaks and eventually replacement piping needed over the next decade or two or three. The Community Preservation Act appropriations will be an article, and I believe Jackie has more on this as we've got some results back from that very busy committee. Is there one more? Yes. So this is one that's new that people are going to need to pay attention to. Tentative zoning article. The MBTA communities on by right multifamily zoning. The governor has signed a new law that says certain area or distance around the MBTA stations will include by right multifamily zoning. So gross density of up to 15 units per, not up to, that's minimum gross density of 15 units per acre, and be up to a half mile from the commuter rail station. So I know the assessors are looking at this, and Tom as well, to draw the map to see exactly which properties in town will be affected by this. But this will possibly have a major change in the character of the 1A Walnut Road, Larch Row area that's within that half mile distance of the train station. And I think this is the last one that we have up so far. As always, we have the election of officers as an article on the town meeting, and we've already gone through those positions that are open. But I would take the moment here to encourage people to, take out the papers, join the town government team, and run for these positions. We have great employees, and we got a lot of work to do on the year and more years ahead. So please consider strongly running for one of these offices. All right, so a third item on the public agenda. So you have seen that we're getting more information out on the budget preliminary to annual town meeting. We've had and will continue tonight department heads come in and talk about their individual budgets and what they're doing in their departments. But I also offer up to the public, if there's any request for any budget item that you really want to see some detail in, send that email into myself or Tom, and we'll get the department head to come in and kind of explain in detail what it considers. Last item here, going into town meeting, is in the past town meetings, we've had citizens petitions that because of format or whatever, end up in straw votes. Really like to use our town meetings for actual action items. And I'd like to thank Lauren Goldberg tonight, our town council, for the work she's been doing on all this solitary selectman business. But she has also offered up that perhaps a better route going to town meeting is to have Lauren review any petitions that may be out there getting ready to be filed, so that ahead of time we can make sure that the format and the content meets the standards, so that we can actually get the intended action completed at the town meeting. So thank you, Lauren, for that offer. All right, and I think that completes the chairman's slides announcements. And now I'll turn it over to Diane Bucco, our town clerk, to talk about her department and unfortunately her farewell. But let me be one of many that will say thank you, Diane, for all the energetic work that you've done over the years for us. So over to you, Diane.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Gary. It's true, tomorrow, February 3rd, is my last day as the Wenham Town Clerk. And I want everyone to know that I have loved every minute of the last 6 years. I'm not leaving the office because of anything related to the town, but just for a personal challenge and a change. And I do hope to be able to serve Wenham in other capacities as I take on the town clerk position in Manchester by the Sea. But in the meantime, I've appointed a retired clerk, Wilma M. McDonald, as the assistant town clerk for the town. She will be in the office Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 4:30. Wilma was the town clerk in Salisbury for over 20 years. She served also as the interim town clerk in Wenham in 2014 and trained me with the assistance of her fellow town clerk, Fred Fritzen. Wilma also now serves as a member of the select board in Salisbury. Also in the office, administrative assistant Terry Von Statz will still be there. She'll be in Monday and Wednesday mornings. Terry has worked with me since 2016 and is the most capable assistant I've ever known. You can still reach the office by phone at 978-468-5520 extension 1, or by using the email townclerk@wenhamma.gov. So currently in the Wenham Town Clerk's office, as always in January, February, and March, is the census returns. We have over 70% returns this year, which is unbelievable. And I'm very pleased with that, although I'm wondering where the other 30% are. So if you haven't returned your census, you might want to think about doing that. Dog registration also happens now. We've already registered 450 dogs, which is amazing. But again, I wonder where the other few hundred dogs are. And I ask that if you haven't registered your pups, that you do so soon. And also we will have the dog contest, the infamous dog contest. But this year, because of COVID, it will be virtual. There will be a link on the town website starting Monday, February 8th, and voting will take place virtually through February 15th. A winner will then be announced at a future Board of Selectmen meeting, and the winner will receive a gift basket from our WAG's Doggy Daycare. So I know that Gary reminded everybody about the elections that we have going on, but as town clerk, I need to just reinforce a couple things. There are 2 elections coming up. Nomination papers are available for both, but it's important to know that the special election nomination papers are due soon. That's February 18th. So if you have any interest in either the position of town clerk or Board of Selectmen, you should reach out to the town clerk's office as soon as possible. One other thing that we have forgotten to mention is absentee ballots. We want everyone to vote. Everyone should be voting. I've always strived for 97% turnout. Haven't quite made it there yet, but I'm hoping that Wenham will keep going up. But because of COVID, you might not want to vote in person. So absentee ballots are available and always available. They need to be requested. You can do that through an application that's on the website. You can just send an email to the clerk, townclerk@wenhamma.gov. It is fine to have a worry about COVID to be the reason to receive an absentee ballot. So I would love to stress that for any reason you don't want to vote in person, request an absentee ballot soon. So with that, I wanted to thank our sole selectman, Gary Cheeseman, and our interim town administrator, Tom Younger, for their help and understanding during this transition. I also want to thank the residents of Wenham for their confidence in me since 2014, when I was first elected, without any municipal or clerk experience. It was and still is an honor and a pleasure to be elected to serve as town clerk. This position is so amazingly varied and interesting. It requires an amazing amount of time, energy, and dedication, but is so worth the effort. I hope the next Wenham town clerk enjoys the position even just half as much as I have. I'm so proud of so much that this office has accomplished over the past 6 years, but I want to mention just a few that directly affect the office and our residents. The inventory and the organization of both vaults and all the file cabinets was essential for me to understand what was going on and will be helpful to all going into the future. The digitization of the town reports through the Digital Commonwealth makes all of our town records accessible for anyone anywhere at any time, and it was no cost to us. The link to see those records is on the website, the town clerk's page. All of our vital records, which includes our births, our marriages, our deaths, and even our burials, are electronically indexed. So they are more easily searchable, accessible, and usable. The collection is now also ready for digitization, which would be the next step in preserving our history. The voting booths that I requested from the Essex Tech in 2016 are very sturdy, historic looking, not the easiest to set up, but they're still really nice. The town clerk's office and the cemetery commission work together to set up a smooth process to make sure that all records, deaths, burials, and deeds are recorded properly and are kept in one specific place. The office has, over the years, indexed electronically much of our permanent records, including our land use decisions, utility pole locations, elected officials all the way back to the 1800s, resignations and disclosures, just to name a few. These indexes make all of this information much more easily accessible. We also finally completed a total codification of our bylaws, which will make our bylaws more user-friendly. The code should be up on the website by the end of the month. It sounds like a lot, but I want to let you know that there's still a lot that can be done in that office. I have thoroughly enjoyed being the Wenham Town Clerk, especially my relationship with the school community, running the dog contest, and writing the monthly Clerk's Corners. Working with the Wenham Town Hall staff has been remarkable. The entire staff is currently thoroughly dedicated to the town of Wenham, and we are lucky to have them all. I cannot thank everyone enough for the privilege to serve you as the Wenham Town Clerk. I know there's a lot of change in town, but I assure you that the Wenham Town Clerk's office will function just as capably as it always has. And that's all from my office. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane. I think normally we'd have a large round of applause, but instead, I would just say that Nikki has got up a series of photos here that you can see of Diane in action as a town clerk in her various duties.
I love it.
We'll leave that up for a minute.
Thank you so much. Even Walter made it.
Yes. So yeah, we should say we're going to miss Walter as well in the town clerk's office. All right. Well, thank you, Diane.
Thank
All
you.
right. Up next is Mary Beth. Hopefully, I know we're getting a little bit better on COVID, but a long way to go. What's up there?
Thank you very much, Mr. Cheeseman. I will say that I did run a few reports prior to this meeting. And so the current case count of people who have been infected in Wenham is 236 individuals. Of those currently, we're following 20 cases right now and 19 contacts that we're following. I did also run a report, as you probably all know, but I'll just reiterate. When we see the weekly state report, which determines the color designation of each municipality, that's always retrospective. That's from a Sunday to a Saturday. So I'm looking for the report at the 17th to the 30th, and those information will be released in this Thursday's weekly report. Right now, it's indicating that we've had 26 cases, so Wenham would move back into the red category from the yellow. So we are not at all out of the woods here, folks. So we just need to continue to do our very best with all of our mitigation strategies. Statewide, it seems to be, a little less intense than it had been, but we're not done, and COVID's not done with us yet. So that's the current case count. In terms of local vaccine distribution update, I will say that we are thrilled to announce that we have received doses of COVID-19 vaccine. They're in our pharmaceutical grade refrigerator, safely stored and ready for use. So there will be a robocall going out tomorrow morning with a vaccine update for how residents can sign up to receive their vaccine. We are in phase 2, priority group 1. And so that is individuals who are 75 plus. Additionally, if there are any people that we missed in phase 1, any home health care workers, any first responders, any forward or non-forward facing healthcare providers, they are all eligible. If you have not, or if residents have not already signed up for the Code Red emergency notification system, please go ahead to the bottom of the Town of Wenham page, and there's this, you can see in the bottom lower left-hand corner of this slide, the Code Red Register Now. If you do not have access to the internet, you can call the Board of Health at 468-5520 extension 4, and someone can assist you in signing up for the Code Red service. Can we have the next slide? Perfect. So this talks a little bit about the logistics, which will be announced tomorrow. So our first clinic for those ages 75 plus will be this Saturday from 9 to noon. This is by appointment only. And so there will be a live link tomorrow for people to use to sign up to get their COVID vaccine. And additionally, there will be a way to call to register with the Board of Health. They will assist you in making an appointment if you cannot do it online. As it says all in bold, it's by appointment only. It's not just drop in. We only have a certain number of doses we've been allotted by the state. And in order for the flow of traffic, there is a required monitoring after the receipt of the vaccine. So we really need to control the flow of traffic on these local streets. This is the first of what we anticipate will be weekly clinics. And of course, those clinics will be weather dependent and supply of vaccine dependent from the state. Next slide, please. This slide will show you what we're intending to do. So you can see that the entrance, there's a little purple number 1 with somebody there. That's where people will enter from Porter Street into Pingree Park, and then flow along down through the paved area, and then they'll stop for their monitoring and then out to Main Street to exit. And I think there might be one additional slide just reiterates that it's by appointment only. How appointments may be made, they may be made through the online portal or by calling the Board of Health office. The number is right here, but it's 468-5520 extension 4. The link will go live at 1 p.m. and that's when the staff and the Board of Health will be available to take your call. They have other things that they need to do prior to 1 p.m., but please give them a call after 1 p.m. to book your an appointment. And we're very excited to be able to offer this to town residents and look forward to getting everybody a vaccine in an orderly process that will be satisfactory to everyone. And I apologize in advance. We're all waiting for more vaccine to come. So we're just going to have to make our way through patiently, but we will get there. Thank you all. Please do remember to use your mitigation strategies. Well-fitting face covering, frequent hand hygiene, either with soap and water or hand sanitizer, alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Try not to touch your face. Please try to connect socially with others outside your household, but try not to do that in person with those outside of your household. Or if you're going to choose to do that, try to do it at a distance of greater than 6 feet, and outside is always preferable. I think that's all that I have. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to entertain them.
Mary Beth, a quick question from Gary here. How long do you expect the whole process to take from individuals showing up at Porter Street, marked 1, till they exit onto Main Street? Should they plan 30 minutes, 40 minutes? What do we think it's going to take?
So to some degree, that depends on the individual. The monitoring period is either 15 minutes, or for some people, if an individual has had any episode of anaphylaxis, which is a life-threatening allergic reaction, if they've ever had anaphylaxis, they will be monitored for 30 minutes. So that's just the monitoring piece. That's after the person has received the vaccine. So when someone comes in, we've booked them for about a 15-minute slot just at the vaccination station itself, where the vaccinators will review the screening questions for the vaccine, check in on the health of that individual for the day, administer the vaccine, and then they will continue down the paved drive to the monitoring station where they will be monitored to be sure that they're feeling well and provided any assistance if they need. And we're very grateful to our Wenham Fire Department, who will be able to provide us with ambulance service should it be necessary. And I do thank them for that. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Jackie Bresnahan, whose logistical genius has really been, we could not accomplish this without Jackie's amazing administrative skills. So Jackie, I couldn't be more thankful for you. And the residents should be very grateful for all that you have made possible for us from the beginning of time to now. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing the residents that we can vaccinate this coming Saturday.
And one more quick question, Mary Beth, outreach to perhaps the seniors over 75 that are housebound or have problems with computer connectivity?
So for this current Saturday, those who have trouble with computer connectivity can reach out to the Board of Health directly to book their appointment. And I know that Jackie has been working closely with Jim Reynolds and Jen Flynn at the COA to help in an ongoing fashion to connect seniors to be able to, to access appointments for vaccination.
Thank you.
Yep, and there is going to be a robocall tomorrow, as I mentioned, with very detailed instructions about how individuals who are eligible, and that's our 75 plus population, can get vaccinated. That's where the state is starting, phase 2 priority group 1. The next priority group down will be those 65 and older, those with healthcare issues, 2+ healthcare issues, and additionally, those who live in our elderly and low-income housing. So partnering with Wenham Public Housing, Paula Mountain, to discuss how we can help them there as well. So more on that to follow.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, let's move on to the Community Preservation Committee. And I think, Jackie, you were speaking up tonight on some feedback from the committee actions.
No, Mr. Chairman, the chairman of the CPC is actually here to present on this
All right.
tonight.
Then Patrick's up then.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I also want to mirror Ms. Ting's thanks to Jackie and to Catherine Tinsley. They've really helped keep our meetings in line and make sure our motions are actionable at town meeting. Without them would be a mess. So the CPA this year, it hasn't been a very busy year for us, I will say. We received 4 applications and all did receive some funding. One thing I want to stress is we got a great match this year. So as a 3% community, we are eligible for 2 extra rounds of state matches. We received a total of almost $244,000 in match from the state, which is 59%, which is 59.2%, which is fantastic. And of that, we were eligible for 126,000 of that because we are a 3% community. If we were not a 3% community, we wouldn't get that additional funding. So here are some adjustments that we made first. We usually, Jackie especially, tries to be very conservative on our figures initially on what is a 10% allocation that must be made to the 3 areas spelled out in the Act. Historic Resources Reserve, Open Space and Recreation Reserve, and the Community Housing Reserve. So because of the fantastic match, each of those buckets got approximately $64,000 additional from what we had budgeted. And again, we budget conservatively. So this year's, we're budgeting for a 20% match, which hopefully is very low, but that's an additional $47,000 into each of those buckets, which leaves us the rest of the funds go into the budgetary reserves, which are encumbered by the act, but not by one of the specific areas, and that's $319,100. And then we budget $8,500 for administrative costs, which is having Jackie at our meetings, having Catherine take our minutes, and any other legal costs we might have. So here are our 4 applications. So first, the town hall debt, the renovation for $121,900. That is falling annually. I believe we have 6 years left on the debt. And that was a unanimous vote, 7-0, in favor of recommending to town meeting that we fund the debt from the historic reserves. Next was an interesting proposal by the Open Space and Rec Committee to do a feasibility study on the West Wenham Higginson Park. Not too many people, I don't think, know about it, and it's not very well used. It's kind of a 3-tiered park, with the first level being a parking area. Second level has got a tennis court in disrepair and a basketball court also in disrepair. And then the top level is an open field, but not terribly large. So the Open Space and Rec Committee came to us and said we can do a feasibility study for maximum of $15,000 to see what can be done with this space. And members were very enthusiastic about this study. It's a very underutilized piece of open space that we could potentially do some nice things with. And there is a potential grant out there for a dog park. The dog park will be considered, and the Stanton Foundation has typically funded dog parks very generously. So we're hopeful there. Next is the Wenham Museum, and we see them quite often. It's been a very difficult year for them with COVID and not having people be able to come to the museum. And they asked for $47,400 for 2 HVAC units for the lower hall, where the train room is, and also 1 unit for Burnham Hall. We need to get a letter from the Historical Commission saying that this historic resource is locally significant. But as long as we get that letter, we are going to recommend to town meeting that this be funded in total, the $47,400, and that was also a unanimous vote. And then our last item was from the Affordable Housing Trust. They came to us looking for $300,000. They do not have a project at this time. They're looking to just refill their coffers after spending $650,000, I believe, or allocating $650,000 to several projects around town. The town meeting has allocated $810,000 of CPA funds so far to affordable housing, $750,000 to Harbor Light, Maple Woods project, and $60,000 to the Habitat for Humanity on Hull Street. This was not a unanimous vote. It went 5-2, and the committee will be recommending $150,000 instead of the $300,000 ask. $150,000 because we have a little over $153,000 in the community housing reserve. So this will pretty much empty that out, but it will not distribute less encumbered funds. And again, they'll be held under the same strictures as the CPA. But it's a matter of control. So CPA funds are recommended by the CPC and then allocated by town meeting, and Affordable Housing Trust funds are recommended by the Affordable Housing Trust and then allocated by the Board of Selectmen. So it's just a matter of who the allocating body is, whether it be the people or the Board of Selectmen. But again, this one went, this was a 5-2 vote to recommend 150,000 to town meeting. Is that the last slide, Jackie? And then just one of the things that did come up in our meeting is we talked about grants that might be available is to, when we fill positions in town, to look, really stress, look for someone who's got some experience in grant writing. There may be a place where we could strengthen our bench. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick, for the update. All right, so Tom, anything else from you?
Mute myself. No, Mr. Chairman, I think we're set.
All right, so last thing, I want a couple of shout outs here. You know, another, we kind of missed the storm last night, but still the slush is a difficult condition for the road. And I want to say thank you to Bill Tyak and the whole snow plowing team that were out long hours last night and worked to keep the roads going well. So great news that we have the vaccines in and starting, and we'll move forward to town meeting. Hope to see everyone back here next Tuesday, same time, as we continue these updates and get the budget items up for public view. Thank you very much. Anyone have anything else to add? If not, thank you, Catherine, for the minutes. We'll get on those. And last, final thank you to Diane Bucco for her service as town clerk. Thank you.